Good morning. I hereby call to order this 10th meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2024. We welcome everyone in the room with us today and those joining us on the live stream. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. At today's meeting, which is open to the public, the Commission will act on various matters. There is no opportunity for the public to address the Commission at this public meeting. The public meeting motions, statements, and video will be available on the Commission's website later today. The first matter on this morning's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of May 23rd, 2024. I would like to recognize Commissioner Coleman as the editor of the minutes. Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you, Chairman. I have reviewed the minutes of the May 23rd, 2024 public meeting, and I move they be approved as submitted.
You've heard the motion by Commissioner Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The minutes are approved by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary, we're ready for your presentation.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Your various bureaus and offices have prepared the following agenda for your consideration. Therefore, let us begin with matters presented by Director Monahan and the Bureau of Audits. It is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 1, beginning with the purchased gas cost audit report of UGI Utilities, and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 2, ending the omnibus with the improvement charge audit report for the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 3, and matters presented by Director Moore and the Bureau of Consumer Services. It is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed order in the petition for reconsideration regarding the Universal Service and Energy Conservation Plan of the First Energy Companies.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Yonora, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion?
Chairman, I have a brief comment.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. In this proceeding, there was an attempt to more closely align CAP and LIRUP, the Low Income Usage Reduction Program, and I think that is a good move. I'm hopeful we're going to see a push to do that from our utilities in the future. It wasn't successful here, but I think that there's a lot of efficiency to be gained by doing so. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Any further comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Continuing on page 3, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed order approving modifications of the Universal Service and Energy Conservation Plan filed by Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 4, and matters presented by Director Hafner and the Office of Special Assistance. It is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the formal complaint of James and Teresa Mendez Quigley versus the PICO Energy Company.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Continuing on page 4, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the formal complaint of Noreen McCarthy versus the Metropolitan Edison Company.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion?
Chairman, I have a statement.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Madam Secretary, please enter this statement in the record as though I read it in its entirety. I will not. January 2019, Ms. McCarthy filed a formal complaint against Met Ed asking to opt out of smart meter installation for health and safety reasons. At the hearing in July of 2020, Ms. McCarthy attempted to offer the testimony of 3 witnesses: Laura Murphy, PhD, Mr. Wes Zimmerman, and Tanya Slowacki, PhD. The presiding administrative law judge did not permit the witnesses to testify after determining that they were not qualified as experts or that their testimony was irrelevant or inadmissible hearsay. After Ms. McCarthy completed her testimony without interruption, Met Ed made an oral motion to dismiss for failure to meet the burden of proof. That motion was granted from the bench. The resulting initial decision dismissed the formal complaint with prejudice, and the ALJ supported the decision in part by noting that no expert testimony was presented to support Ms. McCarthy's allegations on the medical or scientific effects of a smart meter. Ms. McCarthy's exceptions are before us for consideration. I disagree with the ALJ's decision to strike 2 of the 3 witnesses during the hearing, Dr. Slowacki and Dr. Murphy. Admissibility pertains to whether an expert's testimony has any reasonable pretension to specialized knowledge on the subject under investigation. It is well settled in Pennsylvania law that the standard for qualification of an expert witness is a liberal one. Pennsylvania Rule of Evidence 702 provides that an expert may testify, quote, if scientific, technical, or other specialized knowledge beyond that possessed by a layperson will assist the trier of fact to understand the evidence or to determine a fact in issue. A witness qualified as an expert by knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education may testify thereto in the form of an opinion or otherwise. With regard to the witnesses, Dr. Slowacki testified that she has experience in microwave work at the Penn State Microwave Processing and Engineering Center. She's familiar with radiation safety training. She is aware of the hazards of ionizing radiation. And finally, that she's familiar with the interface between electromagnetism and health. Met Ed objected to Dr. Slowacki's testimony, arguing that because Dr. Slowacki is a litigant in another smart meter case, she could not be a credible witness. Once again, that information is properly applied to the weight that should be given to the doctor's testimony, not whether it should be admitted. And with regard to Dr. Murphy, her credentials were not even vetted at the hearing, so I don't see a valid basis to disqualify her testimony. Very few complainants appear in these cases with experts. I'm disappointed that this complainant was not even allowed to attempt to carry her burden of proof. The unsupported disqualification of her experts left Ms. McCarthy with no real opportunity to prosecute her formal complaint, and I do not believe it's consistent with the rules of evidence. I think this case should be remanded back to OALJ for consideration of the expert testimony, allow that testimony to be weighed against the company's expert testimony, and then a decision is made. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The ayes have it by a vote of 4-1, noting the dissent of Vice Chair Barrow. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 5, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 5, beginning with the application of PennDOT and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 6, ending the omnibus with the formal complaint of Pamela Bull versus the Philadelphia Gas Works.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Coleman, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 7, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the rate increase proposal and tariff supplement of the Pennsylvania American Water and Wastewater Companies.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Coleman, seconded by Commissioner Yenora. Any discussion? I do have a motion in this matter. I would ask Vice Chair Barrow to chair the meeting.
Thank you, Chairman. I recognize you for the purposes of your motion.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. I ask that my motion be entered into the record as though I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission are the exceptions filed to the recommended decision in the general rate increase proceedings filed by Pennsylvania American Water Company, or PAWC. PAWC proposed base rate changes that would increase its total operating revenues by $202.4 million, or approximately 20%. The Commission took extensive public input throughout the course of this rate case proceeding, hosting over 12 hearings. A total of 217 customers provided public input testimony. 32 in Portview, 52 in Scranton, 58 in Exeter, 10 in Harrisburg, and 65 by telephone. Quality of service. I wish to focus on a quality of service from the company, particularly in the northeastern Pennsylvania region of PAWC's service territory, encompassing the city of Scranton and the greater Lackawanna County region. Reviewing the transcripts of the various public input hearings uncovers a trend of customers claiming negative quality of service experiences, mainly due to a lack of water quality. Examples include, at the Scranton hearing on January 30th, Senator Marty Flynn testified about dirty water issues. Scranton City Council member Jessica Rothschild testified that PAWC is providing dirty water to customers. Scranton School Board Director Sean McAndrew testified that several times throughout the summer he had dirty water or no water at all. Several PAWC customers complained of having to buy filtered water because their water has rust contaminants, is cloudy, smells funny, tastes like metal, and is not good to drink nor use. Several PAWC customers in Scranton claim their water is dirty, lacking quality, is unpalatable, and smells of excessive chlorine. They noted they were afraid to consume it because of odor and appearance. In telephonic hearings, customers claimed poor water quality, averred there were dirt particles in the water, a chlorine odor, and a hardness causing harm to appliances. Customers contended poor water quality with a chlorine odor and mineral deposits found in toilet water tanks. Customers claimed there was a strong chlorine odor and taste. Further, a review of various comments and complaints filed in this case exhibited a trend in customer concerns for the quality of service provided in PAWC's Northeastern Territory. Over 30 complaints and over 50 comments were filed asserting negative quality of service. A summary of these comments and complaints is attached to this motion as an appendix. Some examples of these comments and complaints include the following. Susan Brace from Dunmore stated that her water is yellow, has an overwhelming chlorine smell, and therefore she installed a whole home water filter. Sheila Eboli from Dunmore asserted the company had multiple water main breaks. Her water is often brown and it smells like chlorine, is not drinkable, and she filters water for her pets. Marion Reidenbach from Scranton submits her water is dirty and that she has to buy water to drink. Michelle R. Miller from Carbondale stated that she needs filters to drink water and that the old pipes are not replaced until there is an issue. Gary Shiner of Scranton asserts that he needs to buy bottled water to drink, his water is rusty, and that he is unable to do his laundry or dishes. And Frank Sislow of Scranton submits that his water smells like iodine. He states he purchases his drinking water and filters the tap water. I believe the cumulative number of quality of service concerns raised in this proceeding warrant further investigation by this commission. 40% of such comments and 38% of such complaints raised pertain to the Lackawanna County region. As such, an investigation is necessary to determine the cause of these service quality issues and to ensure the company effectively manages these issues toward remediation. In effort to carry out this task, I propose to direct the Commission's Law Bureau in conjunction with the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, to implement an investigation into the quality of service issues in PAWC's Northeastern Service Territory. Such investigation may entail conferencing with the utility, issuing data requests, or any other action deemed necessary by the Bureau staff to explicate these issues. The Law Bureau, in conjunction with the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, should coordinate with the Department of Environmental Protection as it deems necessary and complete the investigation within 9 months. This investigation should culminate in the issuance of a root cause analysis report exhibiting any key findings. Further, the Bureau staff may make recommendations for further actions by PAWC, including but not limited to modification to the company's practices, procedures, or its long-term infrastructure improvement plan. Finally, the Law Bureau, in conjunction with the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, may refer its findings to the Commission's Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement, the Department of Environmental Protection, or both, should it deem such action necessary. Management Performance Adder. I also find it prudent to discuss and evaluate the 10 basis point adder awarded to the company's return on equity, or ROE, in the recommended decision. PAWC sought an increase to its ROE to reflect its business risks and management performance. The company claims it has presented evidence demonstrating its performance in a variety of critical areas related to providing safe and reliable service. It is well settled that the Commission may provide ROE adders for company and management performance. However, in light of the substantial negative input from the public regarding PAWC's quality of service, I find it inappropriate to award an adder to the company's ROE in this case. I find awarding such an adder would conflict with the precedent for granting such ROE adders, wherein utilities may be awarded when a case clearly shows extraordinary service worthy of recognition and reward. Hardship Fund. I also wish to address the issue of affordable access to service for income-eligible customers. In the proceeding, the Coalition for Affordable Utility Services and Energy Efficiency in Pennsylvania, or COSPA, states that income-eligible customers face burdens affording water and wastewater service. COS testified that PAWC's water and wastewater burden levels for income-eligible customers leave economically vulnerable Pennsylvania families with insufficient funds to pay for other basic needs and utilities. Noting these concerns, COSPA recommends increasing annual funding for the company's hardship fund by $1 million. While this proceeding does not make enhancements to PAWC's programs for income-eligible customers, I do find it appropriate to strongly encourage the company to set a target donation of an additional $1 million into its hardship fund. These additional dollars, if donated, will serve to make water and wastewater service more affordable for income-eligible customers in most need of assistance. Low-income customer outreach, screening, and intake. Moving on, both the Office of Consumer Advocate, or OCA, and COSPA contend that the outreach for the company's Bill Discount Program, or BDP, and the Arrearage Management Plan, or AMP, is lacking. As of November 2023, 25% of PAWC's estimated low-income customers and 40% of its confirmed low-income customers were enrolled in BDP. Such statistics highlight that additional outreach efforts are appropriate. Accordingly, I agree with a number of the recommendations made by OCA and COSPA to address low-income customer outreach. First, I believe PAWC should develop call scripting and checklists for its customer service representatives to assist in screening and enrolling customers in the various assistance programs. Second, PAWC should make personal contact with any confirmed low-income customer facing termination of service, and these customers should be informed of and given the opportunity to enroll in the Bill Discount Program and the Arrearage Management Plan as an alternative to disconnection. And finally, moving forward, customers enrolled in the Bill Discount Program should also be informed of the Arrearage Management Plan and enrolled if eligible. In conclusion, I submit that these modifications proposed above, coupled with the numerous other adjustments and determinations detailed in our opinion and order, provide an end result in this proceeding that is just and reasonable. In summary, Such determinations will result in an increase of PWC's overall revenues of $99.3 million, or 9.99%. Therefore, I move that, 1, the Commission's Law Bureau, in conjunction with the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, implement an investigation into the quality of service issues of the Pennsylvania American Water Company's Northeastern Service Territory, culminating in the issuance of a root cause analysis report exhibiting any key findings within 9 months after the effective date of rates resulting from this rate proceeding, i.e. no later than May 7th, 2025. 2, that the Law Bureau, in conjunction with the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, may refer the findings of the investigation described in the previous paragraph to the Commission's Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement, the Department of Environmental Protection, or both, should it deem such action necessary. 3, the Pennsylvania American Water Company should strive to set a target donation of $1 million into its hardship fund. And 4, the Office of Special Assistance draft an opinion and order consistent with this motion. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Yanora. Any discussion on the motion?
Madam Vice Chair.
Commissioner Zerfas.
Madam Vice Chair, Madam Secretary, I have a statement in this matter. Please add it to the record as if I read it in its entirety. But in evaluating this rate case, the Commission has a duty to ensure that the rates Pennsylvania American Water Company, I'll call them P American or Company, proposes to charge its customers will be just and reasonable, and the company is able to provide adequate, efficient, safe, and reasonable services to its customers. While the law permits a public utility to recover costs that it invests in improving its infrastructure and running its operations to provide water and wastewater service, the rate increase of $202.4 million that PA American seeks in this case is untenable. I believe the Commission is striking a balance today by approving a significantly lower rate increase than originally requested, and by conditioning the rate increase on enhanced customer protections that will help make bills more affordable, and a Commission investigation into the company's water service problems. PA American's requested increase of $202.4 million in operating revenues is not just unreasonable, particularly when their customers have raised numerous concerns with the quality of water service the company is providing, particularly in the city of Scranton and the greater Lackawanna County region, and the affordability of current rates for water and wastewater. I attended both public input hearings in Scranton and in Harrisburg, and I heard the numerous complaints about PA American's poor water service quality and dirty water. At the public input hearings, customers voiced concerns about having to buy filtered water because their water had rust contaminants, is dirty, is cloudy, smells funny, tastes like metal, and is not fit to drink or use for household purposes. Customers also testified about poor water pressure and hard water, resulting in the use of water softeners and secondary filtration systems. Several customers stated that they were afraid to consume the water because of the odor or the appearance. A PA American water customer in Scranton testified that because her water is so expensive, she has begun bathing only once a week, and her family stopped flushing the toilet after urinating. They bought a dishwasher to save money, and in the summertime, they can't even fill up a little baby pool because they can't afford the water. Many customers and various government officials also testified about affordability, especially since the company's last rate increase became effective so recently in January of 2023. State Representative Maureen Madden testified, and I quote, "I am an American Water customer. I lived in my district for roughly 20 years. When I first moved, my water bill was anywhere between $68 and $73. Now this last bill is $233. That's $100 more than my electric bill. And unfortunately, like my friend and colleague Marty Flynn, it's not a double bill. That is my bill for 1 month, $233. Put that on top of a $400 to $600 electric bill in the wintertime, and all the other responsibilities that my constituents have with a median income of $33,000. And quite frankly, I'd like to hear some answers. How are they going to keep the water running? I implore you to really listen to the testimony that's being given here today, because beyond the statistics, we're talking about real people who are struggling every single day to make ends meet, and their income is not growing as quickly as the rate of inflation. So you have the power in your hands, end quote. In addition to customer testimony at the public input hearings on affordability, some of the parties in the evidentiary hearings conducted affordability analyses and provided evidence on affordability. For instance, Mr. Harry Geller stated that income-eligible customers face excessive and unaffordable water and wastewater burdens, often exceeding 20% of household income, depending on household size and usage. Mr. Geller testified that PA American's water and wastewater burden levels for income-eligible customers greatly exceed acceptable burden levels, and these high burdens leave economically vulnerable Pennsylvania families with insufficient funds to pay for housing, energy, food, medicine, childcare, and other basic needs. Based on the record in this case, I wholeheartedly support the additional customer protections and the investigation into PA American's service in the city of Scranton and greater Lackawanna County region that have resulted from the Commission's decision in this proceeding. For example, the company will expand the eligibility for its hardship fund and the eligibility and payment assistance levels for its H2O bill discount program. The hardship fund eligibility will expand to include households with incomes up to 250% of the federal poverty level, which is an increase from 200%. The bill discount program eligibility will also expand to include customers up to 200% of the federal poverty level, which is up from 150%. And it will increase bill discount levels. The Office of Consumer Advocate and Cause PA recommended these improvements to achieve a more reasonably affordable bill and to reduce water and wastewater burdens so that households are not spending a disproportionate amount of their incomes on water and wastewater service. Additionally, I strongly encourage PA American to increase its annual funding for the company's hardship fund by $1 million. The $1 million increase to the hardship fund would help struggling seniors and families to pay their water bills and keep their water service on. This donation would be in addition to the $750,000 annual amount already included in the hardship fund and would not be passed on through as an additional charge to PA American's customers in Pennsylvania. Because we are expanding the number of customers that would be eligible for the hardship fund, it makes sense for the company to increase the amount of funding in this program. By directing extra money to its hardship fund, PA American will be acting as a good community partner by making sure its customers are in a better position to pay their water and wastewater bills. Moreover, in order to fully address the quality of service concerns PA American customers voiced on the record in this case, the Commission will conduct an investigation to the quality of service that the company is providing with a focus on the city of Scranton in the greater Lackawanna County region. I wanted to thank all of the customers and public officials for putting the time and effort into bringing your concerns to the Commission. We take your concerns very seriously and are taking proactive steps to address the problems you testified about during these public hearings. While I fully support and appreciate the Commission exercising its authority in this rate case to make improvements to PA American's quality of service and in customer protections, I would like to see more protections in place to shield PA American's customers from another rate increase in the near future. This is PA American's third case in 4 years. This is the second rate case that I've been asked to vote on in only the 19 months that I've been here as a commissioner. Some of the parties addressed the frequency of PA American's rate increase requests. However, none of the parties proposed a rate stay-out provision to prevent PA American from coming in next year or some other period of time. Given the frequency of PA American's rate case filings and the customer concerns outlined above in my statements and in the record, I implore the company to be extremely strategic and judicious in deciding when they make their next rate filing with the Commission and that the request truly reflects the needs of their customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Surface. Any other discussion? I also have a verbal statement. Bear with me, it's kind of lengthy. So first, I'd like to thank the presiding ALJs, ALJ Powell and ALJ Coogan. This case generated a large record, a large amount of public input and complaints. Managing that was no small task. Also, the robust participation by the public, by the ratepayers, by the statutory advocates, I believe was helpful in developing this record, and I hope that we continue to see that level of participation in the future. The three topics I want to talk about are return on equity, depreciation expense, and quality of service. Starting with return on equity, the company sought 10.95%, stating that given the company's capital needs, this return is adequate to attract capital at reasonable terms, and they based their claim on the recent commission award in the Columbia Water rate case in 2024. It's discounted cash flow and CAP-M results, and stated that this was in consideration of their business, financial, and regulatory risk, and its management performance. Alternative ROEs were proposed by several parties in the proceeding, including an ROE of 8.45 by I&E, 9.1 by the OCA, and 9.65 by the OSBA. These parties all provided support for their recommendations, but also expressed support for the OCA's ROE of 9.1%, which is an average of a CAP-M analysis result of 8.7 and a DCF of 9.4. I&E indicated the commission would be well within its discretion to adopt the OCA's proposed ROE of 9.1 as it balances the interest of investors and consumers and falls within the zone of reasonableness. That was their secondary position. Despite advocating for 9.65, the OSBA also supported the OCA's proposed ROE of 9.1%. I believe that to protect customers from paying any more than necessary while balancing investors' interest in earning a reasonable return on their investment commensurate with their risk, that 9.1 is the ROE best supported by the record in this proceeding. I emphasize that 9.1 falls within Pennsylvania American's overall DCF model range of 8.69 to 10.96. Setting an ROE is a science, but it's also an art, and we can never do it in a vacuum or with blinders on. In this case, with a company that files rate cases as frequently as PA American has been doing, this is the third in 4 years, we're most likely not setting an ROE for some unknown length of time into the future. Inflationary pressures are cooling. We are post the pandemic and the supply chain issues that came with it. They are still there, but they're not as dire. The company's cost of capital in what is admittedly a capital-intensive business is reasonable. And last but not least, the business risk of any regulated monopoly utility that has a captive customer base and does not face competition for its customers is low. I often hear that if Pennsylvania doesn't match or top other states' ROEs, that utility investors will take their money, their best lending rates, and go to other jurisdictions with higher ROEs. I don't buy it. That'd be foolish. We give steady returns. And these investments are low risk. Unchecked, that logic's going to result in states competing to outdo each other on equity returns and captive customers paying more than they need to just to fund that competition between the jurisdictions. It would be a veritable race to the top. These are safe investments precisely because they're guaranteed by a captive customer base. For perspective, as of yesterday, the 30-year U.S. Treasury rate was 4.49%. I am not advocating for that return, of course not. But I'm saying, as does FERC Commissioner Mark Christie, risk matters when setting an ROE. Based on this record, I believe that 9.1% would be appropriate. With regard to depreciation expense, the company's most recent water asset service life study was done in 2021. OCA argued that in the 2021 study, the service lives of plant and service for 3 accounts, hydrants, mains, and other plant, were shortened drastically between the 2016 service life study and this 2021 study without sufficient explanation, and that the consequence of shortening those service lives was faster depreciation, resulting in a revenue requirement increase of $15.5 million. The ALJs noted that the 2021 study contained updated data and agreed with the company that it demonstrated that its 2021 service life study was a better statistical fit than the 2016 study. I wish to note that this rate case is this commission's first opportunity to review this new 2021 service life study in a rate-making setting. In the very recent 2022 rate case decided in December of 2022, we used the 2016 service life study. So now it's a year later, and we're asked to use a study that has some pretty drastic deviations on service lives of facilities, and these deviations result in a significant rate impact. I do not dispute the importance of using updated information for depreciation purposes, but my outstanding questions about the 2021 study outweigh my preference to use the latest information. My other concern with this issue is that the 2016 study figured prominently into Section 1329 valuations that form the basis of establishing the shortened service lives used in this rate proceeding and that are being rolled into rates in this rate proceeding. I'm not comfortable with using one study for a 1329 acquisition valuation and another for the rate case recovery of the same acquisition. It could be that I do not understand the interplay between these two proceedings, but I think we're all learning, because it's a relatively new law, how the two work together. But it has not been explained sufficiently on this record for me to approve that particular change at this time. The rate recovery claim should be adjusted down by $15.5 million. I will not overemphasize, well, not overemphasize, but you've heard from my colleagues about service quality. In the Butler area sewer 1329 proceeding, I said Pennsylvania American Water Company is a world-class operator. I stand by that opinion. The company has the management, they have the personnel, they have the technical knowledge, access to capital, all of that required to operate any water or wastewater facility as best in class. But the record developed in this proceeding is signaling that this top-notch operator may have taken its eye off the goal of making sure that it delivers reasonable service to all parts of its service territory. The number and the nature of the complaints from customers in the northern part of the system are concerning, to say the least. And I definitely would support the commission undertaking a review of the circumstances that led to those complaints. I have to wonder if the company is so busy growing its rate base through 1329 acquisitions that it has shirked its obligations to deliver that best-in-class service to all parts of the system, such as the city of Scranton, Dunmore, Carbondale. I hope that's not the case, but time will tell. And finally, I mentioned that this is the third rate filing in 4 years for this company. When the water companies in Pennsylvania approached the legislature with the DISC concept, one of the customer protections discussed in exchange for that automatic rider was that it would keep the utilities out from making such frequent rate filings. Likewise, with the fully projected future test year, which is being used in this proceeding, that mechanism is also supposed to minimize rate case filings. I'm not seeing those promised stay-outs. And I believe that the efficiencies that the DISC and the future fully projected future test year mechanisms offer can be easily eclipsed by a high volume of 1329 acquisitions. So I would like to ask the company to seriously consider the balance between acquisitions and rate case filings, as well as customer rates and affordability. Water and wastewater utilities have an arsenal of tools with which to grow their rate base while meeting their customers' needs. That is my statement. Any others? No? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any objections? I am a no on final adoption.
Vice Chair Barrow?
Yes,
If I can
Chairman.
make a comment on the overall matter, I just want to bring up 2 points that both you and Commissioner Zerfus brought up. First off, on a quality of service issue, and again, I talked about this extensively in my motion, and Vice Chair Barrow is correct. Quality of service issues for PA American are pretty good around the state. That northeastern section, that northeastern system there has had some issues, and I will point out to PA American, you've had that system for over 25 years now. And so I would hope that you take these concerns seriously, that you take the public input that we gain seriously in addressing some of these concerns. And then secondly, as my colleagues pointed out, this is the third rate case in 4 years. I strongly encourage you to consider the donation to the hardship fund. Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you, Chairman DeFrank. Any others? All right. On final adoption, is there any objection to using the previous roll call vote? Hearing none, the recommendation is adopted as amended by the motion by a vote of 4-1, noting my dissent. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 8. It is recommended that consistent with 4 PA Code, Section 1.43C, the notational vote of the Commission regarding the petition for reconsideration filed by Environ Energy be recorded and entered in the minutes of this public meeting.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Yanora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Continuing on page 8, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion the remaining item on page 8, the application and petition for reconsideration filed by Franz Caring Transit LLC, and continuing, including, and ending the omnibus on page 9 with the application and petition for reconsideration filed by the IBEMC Group LLC.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 10, and matters presented by Director Diskin and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 10, beginning with the petition filed by the People's Natural Gas Company, and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 11, both items on page 12, both items on page 13, both items on page 14, and including the single item on page 15, ending the omnibus with the tariff supplement filed by the City of Lock Haven Water Department.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion made by Commissioner Yenora, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 16, it is recommended by Chief Counsel Screven and the Law Bureau that the Commission adopt the proposed tentative order regarding the cancellation of certificates of public convenience regarding certain telecommunications companies.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 17, and matters presented by Chief Administrative Law Judge Rainey and the Office of Administrative Law Judge, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 17, beginning with ALJ Johnson's recommended decision in the tariff supplement rate proposal filed by the Greater Hazleton Community Area New Development Organization, TA Can Do Water and Wastewater Companies, and ending the omnibus with the recommended decision of ALJ Ashton in the purchased gas cost rate 1307F filing by the Philadelphia Gas Works.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coleman, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes regular agenda. Turning now to the carry-in. On page 1 of the carry-in agenda, it is recommended by the Office of Special Assistance that consistent with 4 PA Code Section 1.43C, the notational vote of the Commission regarding the emergency application filed by PennDOT and the City of Pittsburgh be recorded and entered in the minutes of this public meeting.
Is there a motion to consider staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 2 of the carry-in, it is recommended by the Bureau of Technical Utility Services that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 2 of the carry-in, beginning with the petition filed by PPL Electric Utilities for approval of modifications to its long-term infrastructure improvement plan, and ending the omnibus with the application of Aqua Pennsylvania wastewater to expand services in New Garden Township, Chester County.
Is there a motion to consider the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Yenora, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, that concludes all agenda items to be considered today.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Before we adjourn, I would like to recognize Commissioner Coleman for remarks regarding our recent PHMSA audit.
Thank you, Chairman. It's a pleasure to announce some good news for you today. The good news is related to the U.S. Department of Transportation Pipeline Hazardous Materials Safety Administration's annual review of our gas safety operations. And this is a report that we bring to your attention on a fairly regular basis because it does contain some very good news. This is PHMSA coming to the state of Pennsylvania and looking at our gas safety operation in terms of progress that has been made over the previous 12 months. And the second piece is looking at the program operation as a whole. So PHMSA gives us 4 review areas, and I'm pleased to announce today that PHMSA has given us on our hazardous liquid pipeline safety program, we've received 96 out of a possible 96 points. And our gas pipeline safety program has received a 100 out of a possible 100 point score. So I'd just like to highlight this report that we get each year from PHMSA just to recognize the hard work of our gas safety team that is housed in our Bureau of Investigation Enforcement that is led by Director Kastner, and Rob Horinsky is the manager of our safety division. We have our gas safety folks across the state of Pennsylvania, and I just wanted to highlight a couple of progress pieces for the past 12 months. There are over 500 miles of vintage pipeline mains that were removed, which are significantly reducing risk in the overall gas pipeline system. The Safety Division conducted over 4,000 inspections during the course of the last 12 months, and nearly 30 of them were on new construction. The safety engineers dedicated more than 281 days to investigate pipeline incidents, and demonstrating our robust approach to incident prevention and response. And on top of that, our safety staff have to maintain a pretty rigorous schedule of training and professional development to ensure that they are well prepared to enforce the federal safety standards. So they do a wonderful job across the state of Pennsylvania, keeping the system safe and intact and keeping all of us safe. So I just wanted to recognize them here this morning, and Director Kastner, thank you for your leadership and that of your team. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize one of our long-serving commission employees who is retiring. Rhonda Davidston from our Law Bureau is retiring after 35 years of service to the Commonwealth. I ask you to bear with me as I highlight Rhonda's long and illustrious career. In January of 1988, Rhonda began her state service at the Commonwealth Court, working as a law clerk for now retired Judge Doris A. Smith Ribner. While there, she was first introduced to the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission through various appellate cases involving the commission. In December of 1988, she was hired by the commission to work in the motor carrier division of the Law Bureau, which was supervised by the late Kirk House. While there, her duties included processing motor carrier petitions, drafting motor carrier rulemakings, prosecuting motor carriers before the Office of Administrative Law Judge for violations of the Commission's code and regulations, and defending the Commission on appeal. Rhonda spent her entire Commission career in the Law Bureau working for various supervisors and 3 chief counsels over the years. She also has seen the Commission go through at least 3 restructurings in the Law Bureau. As a result of those restructurings, Rhonda was afforded the opportunity to increase her knowledge beyond motor carrier issues to include water, wastewater, telco, energy, rail, and bankruptcy. Rhonda was involved in electric restructuring cases in 1996, which allowed retail competition among generation companies to bring lower rates to customers. In 1999, she was one of the Commission's attorneys assigned to work on the global telephone settlement discussions, an order which jump-started competition in PA's local telecommunications market. In 2018, she was one of the Commission attorneys assigned to work on implementation orders that integrated the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority under Commission authority pursuant to Act 65 of 2017 that was signed into law by Governor Wolf. She also was one of the attorneys that worked on the rulemaking for lead service line replacements and damaged wastewater lateral replacements. And most recently, Rhonda worked on the Commission's policy statement on diversity at major jurisdictional utility companies and the rulemaking on diversity reporting for major jurisdictional utilities. As such, she retires as a well-rounded public utility lawyer. Rhonda was also very involved with the various diversity programs at the Commission. She has been an integral part of the planning of the Commonwealth's multi-agency Black History program and began leading the planning committee after Cheryl Walker Davis retired in 2018. Additionally, Rhonda enjoyed helping to plan the Take Your Child to Work Day activities for many years and being a chaperone for the day. Rhonda says she has made many friends at the Commission and will miss seeing their smiling faces. During her retirement, Rhonda looks forward to spending more time with her 3 grandchildren, traveling, and simply enjoying life. Unfortunately, Rhonda could not be with us here today, but she will be listening as we wish her only the best in her retirement. Thank you, Rhonda, for your service. And finally, I want to make an announcement. I have a newest member of my staff, Patrick Shaughnessy, started with me last Monday. Patrick returns to the PUC from a previous stint here and recently worked for the House of Representatives, working for House Appropriations Committee. Please welcome Patrick to my staff. If there is no other business to come before us, is there any objection to adjourning today's meeting? Hearing none, we are adjourned.